What is up, everybody? This is Craig from 9 Volt Games, and oh hi, I missed you guys. Well, that doesn't make sense the way I cut that off. Anyways, listen. The beginning of this video is gonna be a little more serious because I've actually been meaning to do this video about 5 months ago when one of my viewers, Gary Morris, trashed Nintendo on one of my other videos, and he said, that he basically doesn't like Nintendo, and then I meant to do it then, and I just never got around to it because, the gaps in my videos. And I think I was just coming off of another Why I Love, so I didn't want to do it. And then, like, 2 weeks ago, David Hinkle started going off on Nintendo, and then you got all these people doing a fucking petition for Metroid, and I was going to do it then, and I didn't do it. Now is probably the most appropriate time for me to do Why I Love Nintendo. And that's obviously because Iwata died. And rest in peace to him, because you might not realize it, because everyone's just like, well, he's president of Nintendo of America, or he's the CEO, or he was the guy from Nintendo Direct, and blah, blah, blah. A lot of people maybe not be so informed that he was actually a developer who worked his way up to that, and he had a hand in a lot of the fucking franchises that we all love and play today, like the ones I'll be talking about in this video. So, thank you for all the great memories. He did work on Mario, he did work on Kirby, he did work on Super Mario, and I already said Mario, Zelda, and the biggest accomplishment from him is probably, game-wise, is probably Earthbound. So, you can basically thank him for Earthbound. Now, to the video at hand. May he rest in peace. Thank you for all of the great memories, which I will go over now anyways. Now, there are a lot of people now who do not like Nintendo. They won't go out of their way to buy a Wii U, and it's understandable, because if you have a choice of, the three that are available right now, the PS4, Xbox One, and the Wii U, a lot of people are going to go for a PS4 or Xbox One. They're generally not going to go towards the Wii U, and it's because it's got a lack of games on it, and, basically when you go for Nintendo, you're going for first party, but that's my point. Nintendo is known for its first-party games and then lackluster third-party. However, when there is a third-party on Nintendo, it is generally fucking amazing. And I'll get into that as I go. When I buy a PlayStation, I'm usually buying it for some kind of third-party game. Like, when I got a PS3, it's because I wanted to play Metal Gear 4. And it wasn't coming on an Xbox, which I already had a 360 at the time. And I ended up buying a 360 because Oblivion was coming out on it. That's why I bought a 360. I bought an original Xbox because of the Restless Dreams version of Silent Hill 2. I bought a PS2 because I wanted to play Twisted Metal. And I wanted to, I can go down the list. I bought a PS4 because I wanted to play Wolfenstein, and I think that was it. Like, I wanted to get to the next one, but I had PlayStation Plus, so I ended up going with the PS4 first because I had PlayStation Plus and I wanted to play Wolfenstein on the next gen. I bought an Xbox One because I want to play Tomb Raider. You see what I'm saying here? You're buying all these games. I'm buying all these consoles for a third-party game. Now, they may have paid for the rights to have it exclusive or had limited exclusivity, but the fact is, they're not first-party games. Halo is not a first-party game. It is now. But I don't know if people realize that back when Xbox originally came out, Bungie was making that for Apple. They were making that to go on Macs. And then, Microsoft came through with all their money, and it was their flagship launch title for Xbox, or it's their big title for Xbox. So, basically, Xbox paid its way to where it is. It had the fucking capital to back it up. And it is a strong contender, and rightfully so. I love my Xbox products. I do. I didn't like it at first because I was like, I'll just play on a fucking PC. But I do actually love Xbox. PlayStation, maybe some of you don't know. Maybe you do now because somebody found that fucking, the PlayStation, the Super Nintendo disk drive. But if it was not for Super Nintendo, you would not have a PlayStation. That's another reason I love them. I do love my PlayStation. I used to be a Sony fanboy when PlayStation came out. If Super Nintendo had not been a success, and they wanted to make a disc upgrade that they had to deal with Sony in order to make a disc upgrade. It would have been called the fucking Super Nintendo PlayStation, or the Nintendo PlayStation. Anyways, their fucking business partnership went sour. Sony took their shit and they went and made their own console, which turned out to be the PlayStation. So you should be loving Nintendo for that, even if you're a Sony fanboy. That split showed that, and because PlayStation was a huge success, showed that there is serious competition that was not just Sega and Nintendo. Somebody else could come in and swoop in and just fucking and take half of the market, just like that. And I'm pretty sure that's why Microsoft said, you know, on the next go around, they're like, fuck it, we're doing consoles. So the way I see it is that Nintendo made it branch out for everybody. I'm not really including Sega in this because they died out making consoles, so I'm not going to continue to drag them through the mud. But they were the only other console where I would buy a game specifically for a Sega title, but they don't exist anymore, like I said. Now, all those things I said, I bought this for this, I bought this for this, I bought this for this. Nintendo's the only console that I can say I bought my Wii U when it came out because I wanted Wind Waker HD. And I wanted the new Super Mario Brothers Wii. And then when the 3D Land came out, or 3D World came out, it was amazing. I bought my 3DS so I could replay Ocarina of Time. I bought, and there's another one. I didn't actually own an N64 until I was 16. I used to borrow my friend Fabian's because I had a PlayStation. We would borrow back and forth. And he had a, and then I'll just explain that after. I didn't own my own N64 until I was 16. I had a job, and it was that whole $129. You see the commercial, the kid fucking mopping the floor and getting it. Anyways, I bought my N64 to play Majora's Mask. I mean, I played other games along with it, and I ended up loving a lot of other games, but I specifically bought it so that I could play Majora's Mask. And then I went back and bought a classic Nintendo for my classic Nintendo games. Basically saying that Nintendo's an awesome company because you buy for their first party. You don't buy for an exclusive third party. Third party games have been awesome on Nintendo, but for the most part, they're kind of, the better third-party games as a whole are on the other two. But if I think of it like this, you can't be my age and say that you hate Nintendo. You can't. Because think of 1985. This is the way that I picture it. Because after the video game crash in 1983, this is the way that I picture it. Consumers are very mistrusting towards video games. Are they going to be worth their money? Blah, blah, blah. Nintendo came out. Atari was still making shit. Nintendo came out and just fucking took the world by storm. It was a phenomenon when Nintendo came out. It was the thing to have. Everyone ended up having a Nintendo. A lot of us gamers who didn't immediately have games on a PC, you played a Nintendo. And you loved the Nintendo when you were a kid. Anyone who's my age loved their fucking Nintendo when they were a kid. And whether you kept with Nintendo when you grew up or not, it doesn't matter. But your foundation, like my first system was the 2600. My first system that I played on was the 2600. But my Nintendo, as far as my gaming goes, was my foundation of everything that I have now. And I love it. And it basically helped form me into a decent human being, which I'm going to explain whenever I actually do my documentary. But, I mean, I have so many great memories linked to my Nintendo. Not necessarily have great memories with my Nintendo, but like I can see a regular NES game and I can tell you a story about it because it pertained to something in my childhood. Now when I grew up, I ended up going the way of Sega. My sister ended up getting a Super Nintendo. And I'd never admit it back then, but I was super jealous because Super Nintendo had fucking phenomenal library of games. I mean, this right here, she got that for launch. That was it. That was fucking amazing. It had the best RPGs on it at the time. I mean, I didn't get one till later on in life. That was mine, but I had a household that had one. And then, like I said, Nintendo 64. We started doing this thing where my friend Fabian would get one console. He lived behind me growing up. My friend Fabian would get one console, and then I'll get another console, and then we'd play each other's games, and then we'd switch. We'd trade each other. And then, I ended up getting a Dreamcast. He still had a Sega Saturn, but I wanted to play games in Sega Saturn. So, like, when I was done playing Sonic Adventure, I let him borrow it. and then I borrowed a Sega Saturn. That's what we used to do things. But he had an N64, and he had Ocarina of Time, and I just destroyed Ocarina of Time, and it was fucking amazing. And then my cousin Jason had Majora's Mask, and I borrowed his copy of Majora's Mask. I borrowed Fabian's N64, 2 days with it. I took an entire paycheck at my work, and I bought fucking an N64 and a bunch of games, and then I got Majora's Mask my dad bought me, actually, because I didn't realize you needed the fucking expansion pack. For some reason, the game ended up being $90, but my dad bought it for me. I think I've told that story on here before. You know, and then the GameCube came out. The GameCube. My parents were very good. I'm bordering on stuff I want to talk about in the documentary, so I'll keep it light. I got something, there's like dust flying around. I'm not like on coke or anything. It's just, I'm sitting in my basement. I haven't been in here in a while. It's a fucking mess. Anyways, GameCube came around. PlayStation 2 was out. I didn't want to fuck with Xbox. My parents have always been good about, you pick one console, that's all we're going to get you. Everything else is on you. When I got to a certain age, everything else is on you. We'll get you the console that was like, you know, my sisters would ask for a bunch of shit for Christmas. I would get that one thing. And that's great. That was awesome. Favorite time of year. So I ended up getting a GameCube over a PS2 because I wanted the GameCube because of Smash Brothers. And I ended up getting Smash Brothers. I got Tony Hawk 3. And that was so amazing to me. And then I figured out, I ended up buying a PS2 later, but I figured I made the right choice because Resident Evil Remake came out. Yes, the Resident Evil Remake that at the time you were promised to see on no other system except the GameCube. And then Resident Evil 4 came out. And maybe you guys don't remember this, but once upon a time, Resident Evil 4 was only on GameCube. Killer 7 was only on GameCube. There were so many games that were only on GameCube, and they just fucking, they ended up going other places. But the GameCube was a powerhouse, and it didn't have a lot in comparison to other consoles, but the games that were on the GameCube were fucking amazing, except for Mario Sunshine. I fucking hate that game. I hate it. Wind Waker was awesome. Big foot and mouth to the whole gaming community who shit on Wind Waker when it was being shown off. Wind Waker turned out to be awesome. Nintendo Wii. This is where people started to fizzle off. Nintendo Wii was a phenomenon, sales-wise. As far as being met with gamers, a lot of people like to shit on the Wii, but the fact is, I mean, I barely played my Wii in comparison to the other systems, but when it came to the Wii, I did a top 5 games generation. Remember that video I did a while ago? 2 of those games came from Wii. Sorry. 3 of those games came from the Wii. Super Mario Galaxy 2 was one of my favorite games of all time. Donkey Kong Country Returns, one of my favorite games of all time. And No More Heroes was one of my favorite games of all time. That did later come to the PS3, but even the PS3 version, looking a little sharper, can't touch the motion controls that were on the Wii at the time. Which I know, that sounds completely backwards. But if you're ever going to play No More Heroes, please, play it on the Wii if you get a chance. I think I said that when I reviewed it. But, man, I have so many good memories with Nintendo. Nintendo also did the, like I said, I grew up a lot playing regular Nintendo. Before I was adopted, it was pretty much my electronic security blanket for horrible shit that happened to me when I was a kid. And then it was something that, like, kind of formed me to being, like, I play games by myself to help manage stress or help manage something tragic or, you know, help me think things through. And then when N64 came out, I like I said, I didn't have it, but all my friends around me had it. So you could go to any friend's house at any time and you would play GoldenEye. You would play, you know, Mario Kart, or you would play Mario Golf, or, you know, any game. You could play even the WWE games. And you would have so much fucking fun. I used to go to my friend Nina's house, and it was always GoldenEye or Mario Kart. And then it was generally me, my friend Nate, Nina, and then the fourth was always interchangeable with either a friend that I brought in tow, or, you know, one of the other girls was there, or her cousin Sev. And we would just play N64, and it was so much fun, and I loved it. And it actually saddens me to think about it, because back in the day when you'd have 4 friends or even 8 friends, everybody waiting to take turns to play games, I mean, it was awesome. You had camaraderie. You had people being polite to each other. It's not like when you play games online. These kids now online wouldn't even fucking make it back in those days, because if you did terrible and you got upset and salty about it and called someone a fag and they were sitting on the couch next to you, you would have got smacked in the face with a controller You would have had your hair pulled. You would have been punched in the balls. You would have been, you know, it would have stopped real quick. And that's kind of what I miss. That's why I played online for a while. I don't like it. But that really, like, made it so, like what I do now. There was all these other people around me enjoying this. And I think N64 was the first one to really facilitate that with a group of people playing games. And then it like made it okay for me to share my passion with other people and, you know, not get so tensed up like when I used to play games with somebody on Sega. Like I'd be afraid of failure and shit. And N64 was just, it was fun, man. GoldenEye. And I know it's nostalgia, but I mean, it's just having those memories of, this is what I was doing with my friends when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And now I can do it as an adult and I can share it with you. It makes it just fucking awesome to me. And I, you know, more on the Nintendo. Let's get away from that shit. I look around at all the games that I have, right? And I have more 360 games than anything. I got a nice chunk of Saturn games, PlayStation games, blah, blah, blah. You know, Wii, PS2, Sega Genesis, Atari, everything. Without looking at them, I can name like 4 from each system that I thoroughly enjoy. I can pretty much name you every N64 game that I have. I can name you every Super Nintendo game that I have. I can name you half because I got a lot of regular Nintendo games, my Wii U games. My Wii U collection is so small, but the thing is, I absolutely love every game that I have for it. My GameCube games, very small. Every game I have in here, I fucking thoroughly enjoy. Baten Kaitos, amazing. Eternal Darkness, amazing. Killer 7, amazing. Wind Waker, fuck yeah. Luigi's Mansion, fuck yes. Mario Golf, my favorite sports game of all time. You know what I mean? I even have Sonic 2 Battle on here. I got more, actually. I don't know where all my GameCube games are right now. That's actually pretty sad. Metal Gear Twin Snakes, Resident Evil, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Super Smash Bros. Bitch, what? How can you sit there and tell me you don't like Nintendo? You don't like Super Mario Brothers? Okay, you played it a million times. Maybe you'll sit down and play it for 5 minutes. Super Mario Brothers 3? Nobody's going to go back and play the original Zeldas unless you're doing some kind of thing for YouTube, which I understand that because it's hard to go back to. But, dude, you got your original fucking Castlevanias. I mean, Pokemon. What's wrong with you people? I need someone to tell me in the comments right now. Seriously, tell me how much you hate Nintendo. And give me a valid reason why, or don't comment at all. Thank you guys for watching. Rest in peace, Iwata. Thank you for all the great memories. Thank you for making Nintendo huge again after GameCube, really. Thank you guys for watching.